Thank you for joining the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston for our weekly online worship service. This morning we have a special service led by women from our congregation. We learned that putting together an online service was challenging. Many of us had never recorded ourselves at home. We found that our equipment wasn't always the best, and that the obstacles such as lighting, dogs, street noise, and finding enough time were significant. But we accepted the challenge because we had stories to share with you that hold up the female role model and artists, stories of heroines in our close midst, and reflections on the slow but powerful changes women have made and how their legacy changes the world for people of all genders now coming of age. It was important to us to have women authors, songwriters, and performers as we created this service, and most everything we put together is by the hands of women. We hope you will find inspiration in the stories of struggle, power, and love, as well as the music and art we will share with you today. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I want to tell you a little bit about Unitarian Universalism. We are a faith that holds up the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And we believe in justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We hope you will join us each week for our worship service, which for now is online, and we hope you will join us in person as soon as it is safe for us to gather again. And now for our call to worship.
As we come together, we remember we are of this earth. We are fire, we are water, we are the sun and moon and stardust. As we come together, we remember and honor our wise teachers, our models of perseverance. We offer gratitude for our families and our relationships that touch and change us. As we come together, we recognize our own power. We will dismantle paradigms of oppression and suffering. We will call out the attitudes and practices that fail to serve the whole. We will create an inclusive world. As we come together, we envision a new future, inspired by these wise teachers, guided by love, grounded in our connection to the earth, created by our own power, and sustained by the beloved community of this congregation. And now, let us worship together.
Celebrando, compartiendo nuestras vidas, encendiendo esta luz. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí. la justicia de la vida. Arriágame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
A reading by Reese Leva, entitled Remember Woman. Remember, woman, you were born life giver, miracle creator, magic maker. You were born with the heart of 1,000 mothers, open and fearless and sweet. You were born with the fire of queens and conquerors, warriorous blood you bleed. You are born with the wisdom of sages and shamans. No wound can you not heal. You were born the teller of your own tale. Before none should you kneel. You were born with an immeasurable soul reaching out past infinity. You were born to desire with passion, abandon, and to name your own destiny. Remember, woman, remember, you are more than you can see. Remember, woman, remember, you are loved endlessly. Remember, woman, your power and grace, the depth of your deep sea heart. Never forget you are woman divine, as you have been from the start.
This morning we opened our worship with one of the most iconic songs in the UU hymnal, Spirit of Life by Carolyn Mcdade. Ironically, although Mcdade attended First UU Church in Austin, and she had a role in developing the water communion ritual, she does not consider herself a Unitarian Universalist. In an interview with UU World, she stated, "My community is a loose community of women. I call myself a woman of faith, seeking with others to touch what matters." Also, she considers herself an activist, yes, but not a musician. Mcdade wrote Spirit of Life at a low point on her journey as an activist. She was tired not with her community, but with the world. But after yet another tiring meeting one night, a friend just sat with her. She just sat with her. Like many of her songs, Mcdade wrote Spirit of Life in honor of the women who sat with and supported one another as they formed a movement. The women looked to each other for inspiration and encouraged. Truly moved in the heart, their very own lives served as sacred scripture to one another. Born with the heart of 1,000 mothers, they supported and witnessed with each other. Their efforts evolved and expanded to include other progressive causes, anti-war, economic justice, refugee and immigration issues, ecology, sexual identity, health and social services. The movement, as Mcdade calls it, understood how we are all connected. And we here today are in turn connected to those women pioneers, whether we hear our own heartsprings of faith calling us when we are needed. While not exclusively a female trait, women naturally make connections and foster community with one another. That's how we operate. Our stirrings of compassion are very real. We're each blessed with the divine ability to care for one another. Some may call it our mothering instinct, but compassion is a natural form of good leadership. Because we are all connected, it's human to be more moved toward genuine care for our fellow human beings. The best leaders are servants who put the needs of their communities before themselves. As speaker and author Simon Sinek has stated, leaders eat last. Lately, I've been thinking about my own legacy as a leader and the concept of matriarchy. When we gather in community, we naturally look to each other for wisdom and to provide guidance and moral support. Sages, shamans, and matriarchs, whether in families, churches, or even in business, are the roots that hold us close. We are the tellers of stories, the teachers of values, the keepers of tradition and ritual. These are the glue that binds us in community. And as matriarchs, we do this not out of a desire for power or a sense of control, but we are inspired by a steadfast love that we have for something that's much larger than ourselves. It's our profound understanding that we're all connected. We are called to leave our mark on each other, our communities, and by doing so, the world. I remember when I first taught Our Whole Lives, the UU Lifespan Sexuality program, I struggled with what seemed to be disinterested middle schoolers. Rhoda Everett, Thoreau's DRE at the time, counseled me that making even one difference in one youth's life was enough. That empowered me and allowed me to relax and not try to do it all. I just recently learned, nearly 20 years later, that I did make an impression on at least one of those youth. Each one of us looks for those wings to set us free. We inherently understand that even a small change, a small act of kindness and love, just sitting with someone, can be that butterfly effect that ripples beyond what we can see. It's all connected. The women's movement continues to seek a world like the beloved communities we create. So in that light, we're all charged, especially those of us in religious community, to not just sit with one another, but also to lift up each other toward a shared destiny to do the hard work of change. Carolyn Mcdade said that she wrote Spirit of Life not as a hymn, but a prayer. Her prayer was, "May I not drop out. Keep going, withstand the storm, continue in faith, perseverance. May we be inspired in these turbulent times to sit and be there for one another. May the power of love inspire us to stay connected, to not drop out, but to lean in. Let us be inspired to not only hold our own, but to hold together as we transform ourselves, our communities, and the world. Blessed be."
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to living. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to living. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Hello, my name is Pam Perry. I first visited this church community around 1978 when I was a 31-year-old feminist struggling with depression, my sexual identity, my theological perspective, and feelings of powerlessness and anger. During those early years, I only entered the first church building to attend a lesbian feminist group called Lesberadas and the Houston Women's Group. I've been through a lot since then. I met and connected with many strong and courageous feminist women, including Iris Sizemore Greer, a well-known feminist in Houston who taught me by example how to take courageous actions, which empowered me to do the same with some local organizations. I have a lot of gratitude for all the women who have been part of my journey toward empowerment as a woman and as a group leader for over 30 years. I'm 72 now, but I hope to hang around for a bunch more years. Although a number of men from this church community have loved and supported me over the years, I will be focusing only on my appreciations of a very few women because there's only so much I can say in 5 minutes. My mother died unexpectedly in 1987, and I realized that I needed some kind of community in my life. I started church shopping and ended up back at First UU Church because of friends who were church members and because of an article I saw in the newspaper about the minister, Reverend Bob Shibley, who took a stand against racism. I was impressed. I attended a UU principles class where I was taught that everyone's opinions and differing perspectives were to be respected, even if we disagreed. And I felt excited about the acceptance and safety to be different. The director of religious education was a unique and wonderful feminist, pagan woman named Anita Louise, who supported my leadership, helped me create group guidelines to deal with disruptive behaviors, and taught me it was okay to dress casually at church. You probably would not believe what I wore in those days. I have a lot of appreciation, love, and gratitude for the current Director of Religious Education, Carol Burrus, and also for Natalie Brown, who previously held the same position. They have helped me learn how to be more kind, diplomatic, which I really needed, and responsible as a leader by their support, love, and kind mentoring. They both have empowered me to deal more effectively with difficult situations, both at church and in my personal life. I am particularly grateful for several female ministers who enlightened and empowered me with their compassion, integrity, courage, and perseverance in how they cared for church members and themselves. They include Reverend Mary Harrington, who was one of the kindest people I've ever known, who gave sermons that really touched my heart. And Reverend Gail Lindsay Mariner, who is a great counselor and creator of excellent leadership development groups and support groups for church members struggling with a variety of issues. And Reverend Susan Yarbrough, who was one of the best ministers I have ever experienced in my 42 years of visiting UU churches and attending district conferences where I heard a variety of ministers speak. Susan was and is one of the most compassionate and informed people I know, and taught me the value of setting limits, educating myself, expecting and demanding respect, and leaving your situation when your situation demands it. I learned that sometimes you just have to leave unhealthy situations. All of these ministers taught me the value of learning to take care of yourself and to practice self-compassion, especially when you are in any position of leadership or service to others. As you can imagine, there are many other women who have supported and empowered me over the years, including past and present office staff members and many church members and visitors, including Aisha Hauser, who gave sermons and taught several workshops this past year on issues related to racism. As a church community, over the years we have learned the importance of creating a safe and supportive community by creating behavioral covenants, group guidelines, a safe congregation policy, and most recently, a Zoom meeting policy with church standards, which is evolving, as all guidelines and covenants do evolve. These safety and security measures have created a safe space where many of us feel safe to explore and share our differing perspectives in a supportive environment. We offer a variety of Zoom meeting groups which have been helpful for many of us in surviving and connecting during these challenging pandemic times. Although these are tough times for a lot of us, we can get through them together in community. Take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks.
Please join me in the spirit of meditation or prayer. Make yourself comfortable. Relax. Take one deep breath and then another. Feel your body as you sit on the chair, and feel your feet where they touch the ground. Breathe again. Breathe. Open your mind. Open your heart. O Spirit of love and life, great mystery, goddesses and gods of many names, may we feel the support of community and the inspiration of our stories and songs. May we have compassion and understanding for all who are struggling and feeling vulnerable. May we afford everyone an abundance of grace during these anxious times. May we ask the same grace from our friends, family, and our beloved community of neighbors. Let us have the strength to persevere and the capacity for hope as we move through these uncharted waters. Amen. And may it be so.
Now is the time we set aside to call aloud the names of those we seek to honor, celebrate, or memorialize, or those we hold in our hearts as they are suffering or in need of love and support. We may also have loved ones to celebrate or gratitude we want to hold up. We continue to lift up the Mcdade's family as Evan's mother, Dr. Maria Mcdade, has passed away. Bonnie Ochoa, whose grandmother, Elizabeth Glaze Thomas, passed away. The family of George Floyd, and all families who have lost loved ones due to racism and oppression. And of course, all those who are struggling with COVID-19. Laurie and Chris Buffington want to share their happiness with the church community that their daughter Alexa in New York has fully recovered from COVID-19. May we also remember with gratitude all those in our lives who have worked and those who continue to work for equity and justice for all. We pause now so that each of us may lift up that which sits heavy and light in our hearts and feel the love and care of the community that is gathered today in spirit. For all these names, spoken and unspoken, we bear witness with our love, care, and concern.
In the quiet of this place, let this moment fill with grace. This is my prayer, this is my prayer. May the sense of mystery guide us through our journey. This is my prayer, this is my prayer. This is my prayer.
Today's shared offering will be received in support of both the Fort Bend Women's Center and United Against Human Trafficking. The Fort Bend Women's Center has over 40 years of experience providing healing and hope to survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault in the greater Houston area. Their emergency shelter provides temporary accommodations, meals, childcare, and support services. The impact of abuse is long-term, and the Fort Bend Women's Center is there for as long as it takes for survivors to become independent again. The Thoreau campus of First UU of Houston has had a relationship with this organization for over 20 years. Your gifts, both large and small, can make a difference in the lives of survivors. Together, we can end the fight against violence. Founded in 2005, United Against Human Trafficking is an alliance of nonprofits and faith-based organizations devoted to preventing and confronting modern-day slavery. UAHT believes that no human life should be for sale. Children and teenagers, men and women, are exploited for sex and labor in our city every day. Through awareness, education, and outreach, UAHT is helping create change. Please give generously.
A reading from a letter to a young activist from Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Do not lose heart. We were made for these times. Many are deeply, properly bewildered and concerned about the state of affairs in our world right now. Yet I urge you to please not spend your spirit dry by bewailing these difficult times, because the fact is, we were made for these times. Yes, for years we have been in training for just this. We are definitely the leaders we have been waiting for. I recognize a seaworthy vessel when I see one. I assure you that you are built well for these times. Despite your sense of doubt, your frustrations, or even feeling lost entirely, you are not without resource. You are not alone. Look out over the prow. There are millions of boats of righteous souls on these waters with you. We all have a heritage and history of being gutted. And yet remember this especially. We have also, of necessity, perfected the knack of resurrection. We are seasoned vessels for certain. Even if you do not feel that you are, you are. Believe the evidence of any one of your past testings and trials. Yes, you are able. You have passed the bar and even raised it. You are seaworthy. We are needed. That is all we can know. And though we meet resistance, we more so will meet great souls who will hail us, love us, and guide us, and we will know them when they appear. We do not know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip toward an enduring good. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts. It does not take everyone in the world to bring justice and peace, but only a small, determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to display the lantern of your soul, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others. Both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. If you would help to calm the tumult, this is one of the strongest things you can do. When a great ship is in harbor and moored, it is safe. But that is not what great ships are built for. Please remember why you came to this beautiful earth.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Betts. These are tumultuous and trying times, but it is during times like these that I look to history to draw upon my strength and inspiration as a woman. I look at the accomplishment of women on a larger scale and relate that to my personal contribution and legacy. Within my history, I see women like Frances Ellen Watkins, a Unitarian, an abolitionist, a writer, a poet, and a teacher, as well as native Texan Barbara Smith Conrad, an opera singer that was denied the right to sing right here at the University of Texas simply because of the color of her skin. Hearing, learning, and understanding these women's experiences, for me, are lessons in persistence and perseverance. For there is no doubt in my mind that these things were on the mind and the forefront of their minds. These women possess what I define as quiet power. These reminders are in stark contrast to our lives today, as little girls now live in a reality where we have historically elected 19 women of color judges here in Harris County. These judges hold both economic and political power that will serve as a beacon of light for the 52% of women who compose our essential workforce, still legally making just over $7 an hour. What part will faith play in these newly appointed judges' decision-making as they hear cases and issue sentences? As these judges no doubt represent a wide variety of religious value systems, I am optimistic that this diversity will positively impact our political system with more fairness in our Judaic execution. What does all of this mean to me personally? As a Unitarian church member who was introduced to the church through the Houston's women's group, I am engaged with First UU, as they have made a commitment to accept me along with my political value system. As a woman, I have met a mandate set by my own mother, Rosalie Betts, by being an active member of society, sowing ground for women emerging in this new political landscape. I have been a part of numerous political campaigns over the decades, which have directly and indirectly led to such appointments. Their victories are my victories. My legacy is being created daily, as participating in the creation of this program has helped to evolve First UU in continuing its initiative of diversity in action. Also, I continue my activism by being a griot, a writer, and a poet, despite institutionalized adversities. I continue to demonstrate my leadership, serving as a mentor to my daughter as she receives both career and economic empowerment. Actively living the personal is political mantra, I can say I wouldn't want any other spiritual seat in the universe than to be that of a woman persisting and persevering in this glorious journey with my fellow WOMYNs. My question to you, my fellow UUers, are, what will your legacy be? Or what will they say you have contributed? Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high. Still, I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my heartiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the hut of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave.
I rise, I rise, I rise.
There's a light in the darkness, though the night is black as my skin. There's a light burning bright, showing me the way. But I know where I'm headed. There's a cry in the distance. It's a voice that comes from deep within. There's a cry asking why. I pray the answers up ahead. 'Cause I know where I'm headed. There's a road we've been traveling, lost so many all the way, but the riches will be plenty, worth the price we had to pay. There's a dream in the future. There's a struggle we have yet to win. And there's pride in my heart, 'cause I know where I'm going. Yes, I do. And I know where I've been. There's a road we must travel. There's a promise we must make. Oh, the riches will be plenty, worth the risk and the chances that we take. There's a dream in the future. There's a struggle we have yet to win. Use that pride in our hearts to lift us to tomorrow. 'Cause just to sit still would be a sin. Lord knows I know where I've been. I give thanks to my God, 'cause I know where I've been.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Even though your veneers may shiver from every wave in this stormy royal, I assure you that the long timbers composing your prow and rudder come from a forest greater. That long-grained lumber is known to withstand storms, to hold together, to hold its own, and to advance regardless. May the stories of those who have persevered inspire us to remain steadfast and brave through these turbulent times. May we remember that we are able to raise the bar using our own personal power to take action and to work together in community. And may love be the compass that guides us as we persevere in shining our lights for change.
First, we hope you will stay with us through the announcements and credits to view a short video made especially for this service about a gathering of women meeting at our church since 1975, the Women's Group. Also, we invite you to join any of our groups, which are now all meeting online. You can find out more information on our website. We will mention a few of our groups today. Join us for our Sunday late morning reflection and sharing group at 11:30 a.m. this morning. You can find the link in this week's All Church Sunday email. Starting next week, an ongoing creative writing group will begin on Sunday afternoon, June 7th. This week, Reverend Carolyn is holding online office hours and hosting Text for Troubled Times on Tuesday. Please email info@firstuuhouston.org in advance for the link. And today, on the morning of our women's service, we want to highlight our women's groups, which include the Women's Group, Changing Women, and the Women's Book Club. The Women's Group is the longest meeting weekly feminist group in the country, supporting women through 3 waves of feminism. Changing Women is an earth-based spirituality discussion group and women's wisdom circle. The Women's Book Club meets monthly, reads historical fiction or fiction by women authors. To find out about any of our groups and to get connected to their leaders, contact our Director of Religious Community, Carol Burrus. Today we honor the historic women's group that has been meeting at First Unitarian Universalist Church since 1975. We will hear words today from Sizemore Greer, co-founder of the group, a visionary woman who has continued to lead for 45 years. This women's group is the oldest weekly women-only feminist group in the country. Sizemore Greer describes here what is meant by feminism for this group.
Each woman defines her own feminisms, that's plural, based on her life experiences and her activism.
Iris describes some of what the group accomplished at the church and in the public sphere, including naming their room, publishing books, and intentionally promoting diversity.
Along with the board and Reb Kitchell, we named the Sojourner Truth Room. The power of naming, questioning, defining every aspect of our lives as women, this is not a power generally had by our mothers and grandmothers. Their own press published many underground books that no one else would publish. One thing that I really celebrate about women's group is we have always tried to include a diversity of speakers, and certainly in my own life, a diversity of friends. So I think this has been received to many women of diversity as being a welcoming place, even though some have their own church on Sunday morning. We all understood that. But we always felt that if you didn't have a diversity of speakers, one would not have a diversity of women attending. We probably have the most diversity of any group. This is, I hope, a part of my legacy.
Feminism over the past 45 years has had waves, and new learning with each. This group continued to meet, share, and grow.
I think the power of the women's friendship, which allowed us to define and question aspects of our lives. Back then it was called the personal is political. We looked at gender violence, economics, inequities, questioning every aspect of history, every ritual, as we were trying to define our own personal agency and using our agency and to make a difference in the larger movement of influence in the world.
The relationship of the women's group to First Unitarian Universalist Church has been one of shared values.
I think any woman in the city understands that the UU Church has been a leader in racial desegregation in the 50s, certainly a leader in Hatch, a leader in civil rights meetings, and certainly a leader in gender identity politics.
This church celebrates the women's group, offers gratitude for their service to all who attended over the years and to the larger feminist movement. We also honor Iris Sizemore Greer for her perseverance, her vision, and her loving heart.